Morning guys, how y'all doing today? Well, we're going to try to mount that fender. So let me show you what I got going on. Well, I think you can see what I got there. It's some, it's like radiator hose or something like that. It's 1.5 inches thick, and I've just taped it on the tire to give me an approximated amount of clearance. And what I'm attempting to do is get this where I want it, which that looks about right, I think. It's not quite level, but it's about right. And I've made some stretchers. I think you can see them. These will be welded to the down tubes, the rear ones, which are stationary. I don't think I'll ever flex enough to where that'll come up 1.5 inches and hit that. I mean, it could, but it'll only be a moment. And then I've got these stretchers that I'm going to weld up inside the fender. And these will have holes drilled in them, which will bolt to these. So I'm trying to get everything set up here and lined up so I can measure where I need to drill my holes in these things. I've already got pilot holes drilled in these, but getting these drilled in the right place is going to be tricky. And those rubber hoses flex, so that even complicates things. But that's what I'm trying to do. Once I get the holes drilled in these, I can weld them inside the fenders and then bolt these onto it and then weld them onto the bike. That's the plan. Here's a little trick I'm going to share with you that I use, and I find it very helpful. When I'm getting ready to drill a hole in something, like say this blackened flat stock, and I use my center punch, I'll take my soapstone that you use to mark your metal with, like that, and I'll grind it over that punch mark, and I'll wipe it away, and it leaves that little punch mark full of that chalk dust, which when you get it in your drill press really is helpful because you can see it. You know, it's a lot more obvious. And of course when you start drilling, that is right out of the way, no problem. Anyway, just thought I'd share that with you. Little tip from little Tufdog tip. That's how I do that. I was using these. It's like a radiator hose, but it's soft. See how soft that is? I don't know what this is actually off of, but I got this and I found it. Somebody was throwing it away at work, and I thought, you know what? That'd be great to go in between my air box and my carburetor on the Bayou four-wheeler. And I have yet to use it for that, but I believe it's going to be fine. I need to try that. Should have done that the other day when I was rebuilding that carburetor, but I didn't do it. Anyway, that's what I got this for. And that's what I was thinking when I salvaged it. But I don't like the way it squishes, and it's only 1.5 inches tall. I want that fender 2 inches off of the tire. Because when the springs, I want to make sure I got at least 2 inches worth of travel room before that tire hits the fender. You know, I don't want to have that to be an issue. So I was looking around here for something that was 2 inches tall, and I discovered that my cigarette packs are just a little bit over 2 inches. So let me show you what I've done here. I took some of my empty packages that I found in my trash can, and I electrical taped them to the inside. I think you can probably see that, what I've done there, to where they stand on end, or on their side, however you want to say that. And I'm going to try to just rest that on the tire and see if it works. Well, you can see there that it does in fact work. However, it looks like there's a bigger gap there than I want. But then you've got to remember the reason I want the 2 inches of travel room is because when I'm mounting the fender to the stationary rear tubes, and the reason I'm doing that is because they're fatter, and actually on the inside of them they stick out farther than the front ones, which do move, so my braces won't hit. Now I'll show you a view of that here in just a second so it'll be more clear. But that 2 inches will just assure me that that tire is not going to come up and hit the fender when I hit a bump, which is actually what I'm after. And compared to the room that I have in the back, there's like 3.5 or 4 inches in between the tire and fender there. So I think it'll be fine. It would look a lot slicker if it was a lot closer, but then if that tire flexes and hits it, it's no dang good, you know. So that's why I'm going that route. Yeah. Alright. Let me show you the front when I'm talking. I don't know how well you'll be able to see this, but these back tubes are fatter than these front tubes. This is 1 inch, these are 7/8. And when I weld my bracket on here, it will actually clear this one. If I weld them onto this, whatever I do is going to be rubbing on that. And I don't want that. So that's why I'm doing it onto the stationary part instead of the moving part. I know I could block it and shim it out and everything like that, but this is just the way I decided to go. I think it's going to be fine. So, yeah, I'm moving forward. So now I've got to size up my brackets and make sure they are in fact going to work where I think they are going to work. And before I go to wire wheeling the paint off of that so I can weld and attaching everything permanently, I want to make sure it's all going to come together proper. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to fiddle with that for a bit, and then hopefully we can just weld these onto the inside of the fender, weld this part to the down tube. I may weld these nuts on here too when I get it to where I know that's where they're going to be, so when I remove and attach the fender, all I got to do is screw the screws in. I don't have to mess with a wrench back here. I don't know, I may do that, I may not, I don't know. Anyway, I'll show you when I get further along. Alrighty then, there it is. Got her welded on there, and yeah. I don't think that looks too bad. Of course, I got to take it all apart and finish welding and cleaning it up and stuff like that, but woohoo! And that is 7 inches off the ground right there, where the bottom of that fender is. If I take my front wheel over something bigger than that and come down sharp enough to where it hits that, I wasn't going fast enough, you know what I mean? Okay, so I think it's gonna be fine. Mud flap maybe, just to keep the rest of it clean, because wet roads will still sling crap. But as far as the height, I think it's good. A little better shot of it. It's pretty solid too. There's not going to be any flexing going on there. Alright, well that's that, fellers. Thanks for coming by. I appreciate you. I just got a phone call and my buddy wants to go riding. So guess what? Herbie and Big Green are going out. Apparently there's some sort of a mud run somewhere and there's trails around there. So I gotta stop, put all this stuff away, gas these things up, and get prepared to go. Alright everybody, thanks for coming by. I want to welcome all my new subscribers. Thank you. Thanks to all my viewers. And thanks for all the comments. I love that part, man. Tell me what you think. And I'll see y'all later. Okay? Alright, thanks. Bye-bye.